Gift from the Sea by Anne Morrow Lindbergh is one of the most thoughtful, poetic, and deeply reflective books ever written about life, solitude, womanhood, love, relationships, and inner peace. First published in 1955, the book remains timeless because its themes still speak powerfully to modern readers today. Through beautiful metaphors involving seashells and the ocean, Anne Morrow Lindbergh explores the emotional struggles of modern life and the importance of simplicity, self-discovery, solitude, and balance. The book is not a traditional story with a clear plot or characters. Instead, it is a collection of personal reflections and philosophical essays inspired by the author's time alone on a quiet beach in Florida. During her retreat near the sea, Lindbergh reflects on the complexity of life and the emotional pressures faced by women, especially wives and mothers. Using shells she finds along the beach as symbols, she examines different stages of life, relationships, marriage, creativity, and spiritual growth. One of the most important qualities of Gift from the Sea is its peaceful and calming tone. From the beginning, Lindbergh invites readers to slow down and escape the noise and pressure of modern life. She explains that the beach is not a place for intense work or strict schedules. Instead, it is a place where the mind gradually relaxes and opens itself naturally to reflection and understanding. The rhythms of the sea, the sound of the waves, and the quietness of solitude help the soul recover from exhaustion and confusion. This introduction immediately establishes one of the book's central messages. Modern life is too crowded, too fast, and too distracted. People are constantly overwhelmed by responsibilities, noise, social obligations, and endless activity. Lindbergh argues that human beings, especially women, need moments of silence and retreat in order to reconnect with themselves. The first major theme explored in the book is simplicity. In the chapter Channeled Welk, Lindbergh uses a shell abandoned by a hermit crab as a symbol for a simpler way of living. Looking at the shell, she admires its simplicity, beauty, and lightness. This inspires her to reflect on her own life, which has become filled with endless responsibilities and complications. As a wife, mother of 5 children, writer, and member of society, Lindbergh feels overwhelmed by the demands placed upon her. She describes how modern life requires women to constantly manage countless duties such as childcare, cooking, cleaning, shopping, transportation, social relationships, education, finances, and community obligations. The result is exhaustion and fragmentation. One of the strongest points Lindbergh makes is that women are expected to give themselves endlessly to others without enough time to replenish themselves, emotionally or spiritually. Modern society values productivity, busyness, and constant activity, but it often ignores the importance of inner peace and self-renewal. The author explains that she longs for what she calls inner harmony or living in grace. By this, she means a peaceful state where the inner self and outer life are balanced and connected. She wants her actions, responsibilities, and relationships to flow naturally from a calm and centered spirit rather than from stress and chaos. Lindbergh believes that simplification is one path toward achieving this harmony. She learns during her time at the beach that human beings actually need far less than they imagine. Living in a small, simple cottage near the sea helps her realize how many unnecessary possessions, obligations, and distractions fill ordinary life. She begins to shed not only material things, but also emotional burdens such as pride, vanity, social expectations, and hypocrisy. The simplicity of beach life teaches her freedom. Without endless distractions, she can finally hear her own thoughts and reconnect with her inner self. Another major theme in the book is solitude. In the chapter Moonshell, Lindbergh reflects deeply on the importance of being alone. She argues that modern people are terrified of solitude. Society constantly encourages distraction through entertainment, social obligations, technology, and noise. Many people fear silence because it forces them to face themselves honestly. However, Lindbergh believes solitude is essential for spiritual and emotional renewal. Only when people spend time alone can they reconnect with their inner core and understand who they truly are. This message is especially important for women. The author explains that women naturally spend much of their lives caring for others, husbands, children, family, and society. While this nurturing role is meaningful, it can also cause women to lose their sense of identity if they never spend time alone reflecting on themselves. Lindbergh argues that every woman needs moments of solitude during the day, week, or year in order to remain emotionally healthy and spiritually balanced. She compares this inner balance to the still center of a wheel. Even while life spins rapidly around her, a woman must maintain a quiet center within herself. One of the book's most famous ideas is that solitude is not selfish. Instead, solitude allows people to refill themselves emotionally so they can give more meaningfully to others. Lindbergh explains that people cannot endlessly pour energy into others without replenishing their own spirits. Just as the body needs food, the soul also needs nourishment. This idea remains incredibly relevant today. Modern life often glorifies constant busyness and productivity while ignoring emotional exhaustion and mental health. Lindbergh's message reminds readers that rest, reflection, and quietness are necessary parts of a healthy life. The sea itself becomes a powerful symbol throughout the book. The ocean represents peace, timelessness, rhythm, renewal, and spiritual depth. The waves constantly move yet remain calm and natural. Lindbergh suggests that human life should follow similar rhythms of activity and rest, connection and solitude. Another central theme in the book is relationships, especially marriage. In the chapter Double Sunrise, Lindbergh uses a beautiful shell with two perfectly matched halves to symbolize the early stages of love and marriage. She describes how new relationships often feel pure, magical, and complete. Two people become deeply absorbed in one another, creating a private emotional world shared only between them. However, as life progresses, relationships become more complicated. Responsibilities, children, careers, routines, social obligations, and daily stress slowly cover the original simplicity of love. Lindbergh explains that many people become disappointed because they expect relationships to remain forever in the same romantic stage. But she argues that change is natural and necessary. Relationships must evolve and grow rather than remain fixed. Love cannot stay forever in its early idealized form because life itself changes constantly. One of the most insightful ideas in the book is that relationships suffer when individuals lose their personal identities. Lindbergh believes that healthy relationships require both connection and individuality. A person must maintain a strong inner self rather than becoming completely dependent on another person for identity or fulfillment. She explains that people often try to find themselves through romantic relationships, but true identity comes from within. Creativity, solitude, reflection, and self-knowledge are necessary for emotional maturity. This idea is especially important for women, who have traditionally been expected to define themselves entirely through family roles. Lindbergh encourages women to develop creative and personal lives of their own in order to remain emotionally whole. Another important message and gift from the sea is acceptance of change. The ocean and shells constantly remind Lindbergh that life naturally changes over time. Relationships change, children grow older, bodies age, circumstances shift, and people evolve. Instead of resisting change, the author believes people should learn to accept it gracefully. This acceptance requires emotional flexibility and wisdom. Trying to cling to old versions of life or relationships only creates suffering. Like the tides of the sea, life moves in cycles and rhythms that cannot be controlled completely. The book also explores creativity and spiritual nourishment. Lindbergh believes every person needs some form of creative activity or inner expression. Creativity does not necessarily mean becoming a professional artist or writer. Simple acts such as arranging flowers, gardening, writing in a journal, praying, cooking thoughtfully, or reflecting quietly can nourish the soul. Modern life often disconnects people from meaningful creative experiences by filling their schedules with distractions and mechanical tasks. Lindbergh warns that when people lose touch with their creative and spiritual centers, they become emotionally fragmented and exhausted. The author repeatedly emphasizes the importance of inward living. Society encourages outward success, productivity, and achievement, but Lindbergh argues that true peace comes from cultivating inner stillness and self-awareness. One reason Gift from the Sea remains so beloved is its universal wisdom. Although Lindbergh wrote primarily from the perspective of a woman in the 1950s, the emotional struggles she describes still affect people today. Modern readers continue to face overwhelming schedules, information overload, social pressure, emotional exhaustion, and difficulty balancing work, family, relationships, and personal identity. The longing for simplicity, peace, and authenticity remains deeply relevant. The book's writing style is another reason for its lasting popularity. Lindbergh writes with elegance, gentleness, and poetic beauty. Her descriptions of shells, waves, beaches, and sunlight create a calming atmosphere that feels almost meditative. Reading the book itself feels like taking a peaceful retreat away from modern stress. The shell metaphors throughout the book are particularly powerful because they connect emotional and spiritual ideas to physical objects found in nature. Each shell represents a different life lesson or emotional stage. The shells become symbols of simplicity, solitude, relationships, maturity, individuality, and transformation. Another remarkable aspect of the book is its honesty. Lindbergh openly discusses feelings of exhaustion, confusion, loneliness, and emotional hunger. She admits struggling to balance her many responsibilities while trying to preserve her inner self. This honesty makes the book deeply relatable and human. At its heart, Gift from the Sea is about finding balance. The author does not argue for escaping permanently from society or abandoning responsibilities. Instead, she advocates balance between solitude and connection, work and rest, giving and receiving, activity and reflection. Lindbergh believes people must consciously create space for peace and inward reflection in their lives. Without this balance, life becomes fragmented and spiritually empty. The book also contains an important message about freedom. True freedom does not come merely from having more possessions, opportunities, or social independence. Real freedom comes from inner peace, simplicity, and self-understanding. In conclusion, Gift from the Sea by Anne Morrow. Lindbergh is a timeless masterpiece of reflection, wisdom, and emotional insight. Through beautiful writing and meaningful metaphors, Lindbergh explores the challenges of modern life, especially for women, and offers guidance for achieving simplicity, balance, solitude, creativity, and inner harmony. The book teaches readers that peace cannot be found in endless activity, material success, or social approval. Instead, true fulfillment comes from reconnecting with the inner self, accepting the natural rhythms of life, nurturing meaningful relationships, and creating space for silence and reflection. Even decades after its publication, Gift from the Sea continues to inspire readers because its message speaks to universal human needs. In a world filled with stress, distraction, and emotional exhaustion, Anne Morrow Lindbergh reminds us of the healing power of solitude, simplicity, nature, and self-discovery. Ultimately, the book is a gentle invitation to slow down, listen to the waves within ourselves, and rediscover the quiet center that gives life meaning and peace.